How's it going, everybody? Welcome to a brand new video. Now, I know on this channel normally we like to talk about cryptocurrencies, but also a relevant topic that I believe is really worth expanding into is the topic of PewDiePie. Now, why are we talking about PewDiePie on a cryptocurrency channel? Well, something really historical involving PewDiePie is the fact that he's been the #1 most subscribed YouTube channel for quite some time. So, really fundamentally, the #1 most subscribed channel is a symbol of where the platform is going, and ultimately cryptocurrency does very much tie into the platforms like YouTube as far as the future and the face of the platform goes. So we look at now these live streams. I mean, once the live streams happen, you know that it's for real. People are live streaming the sub count, and if you don't already know, you could pretty much expect to be seeing this new YouTube channel T-Series pretty much passing PewDiePie within the week. I'd imagine it's going to be happening pretty fairly soon, pretty rapidly. And this is ultimately, I mean, it's not bad for the platform. I mean, it is pretty nice to see that the largest YouTuber can still be passed by an active audience that has the capability of passing the top performer. And when you look at T-Series and you pay attention to the sort of content, I mean, H3 had an interesting video, where they analyze this whole thing, so I won't necessarily waste your time with that. But I mean, just looking at the analytics, I mean, you see T-Series got the A++. Their metrics are off the chart for YouTube. Really, when you look at how many subscribers they've been gaining and all the, I mean, they're blowing PewDiePie out of the water, blowing the competition out of the water. And ultimately, what we're looking at here is a shift in content creation. Essentially, the face of content creation on this platform is really fundamentally going towards essentially, well, you look at what T-Series is doing, what they've been preoccupying their time with. You look at the content on here, it's a lot of music videos and so forth, which is fine, but it's not just somebody sitting at their computer making content the same way like we've seen PewDiePie do in the past. Let me just be the first person to point out the fact that PewDiePie was essentially the last YouTuber to earn his subscribers. Right now, these new people who are about to pass him, this stinks of algorithm manipulation. This really stinks of seeing these different platforms, like these social media platforms, manipulating the numbers, I'd say, because I think that the numbers would be much higher for PewDiePie by now if things were left to organically grow. But then again, you got to take into consideration how audiences have been manipulated and so forth, and especially when you take into the fact, the consideration of these new creators who are going to be that top rank are essentially like a whole production company. They got music videos, they got whole teams of people who are working, really a sort of a new sort of paradigm opening up on social media platforms like YouTube in particular, where we're seeing sort of Hollywood-esque like paradigm starting to rise up, where there's all this money probably being pumped into making these really low budget soap opera looking type content. Now, don't get me wrong, I mean, I'm going to subscribe to this new content creator, and it's all well and good seeing somebody pass PewDiePie. I mean, he's honestly had the position for a very long time, but this is sort of marking a steady decline in the creators of this platform being the face of it, by itself. I mean, at one point it was Smosh. At one point it was this kid who made his voice all high pitched. His name was Fred. You name it. There's been a whole bunch of different content creators who've been at the top, but over time it's become more corporatized, more controlled, and this is really a similar symptom of that. And after this new creator passes PewDiePie, I'd imagine that from this point forward, we're going to be seeing subscriber counts in the hundreds of millions. It won't be long before we see some musician reach 100 million subscribers, and then from there it's just going to get completely and totally ridiculous. We'll probably see Nicki Minaj or somebody at 200 million, 220 million by the year 2025. And if you take into consideration the amount of people who are going to be using the internet in the future, I mean, I'm sure that all this is supported by data on some level. I mean, on this channel, we talk about over and over and over again how people in other countries are getting to be using the internet now. So the way that we imagine these different social media platforms functioning is ultimately in for a huge reshaping, you know, or totally reimagine the way of, because PewDiePie rising to power was essentially the rise of reaction videos, the rise of video game commentary, and essentially people watching reactions to content. And it was sort of a regurgitation, if you will, of the various different content items that were on the website to begin with. The sort of commentary genre opened up around 2014, I would say. And before that, it was sort of sketch comedy, or to a certain extent, it was sort of a Tosh.0-esque clip review. But PewDiePie did represent a shift in the paradigm as well. And now we're honestly starting to see, because clearly, I mean, this new channel that's rising up, it's very Indian. It's very much I mean, it's probably got something to do with people in India who are all getting computers now, connecting to the internet more than ever before. And then you think about the population in India, it's billions of people, and that's a huge competition for PewDiePie. And all these people don't necessarily watch gaming videos as much as they would, but soap operas are huge. I mean, to a large extent, due to various different problems, you know, we've seen a steady decline in gaming videos on YouTube, and really it's been picked up by Twitch. But this is honestly going to be an interesting time to watch how these different social media platforms develop. And I just wanted to make this video and put it out there and put in my perspective before we actually see PewDiePie getting passed by this new age of the internet, essentially, where we're going to be seeing sort of like this new Hollywood, essentially, because Hollywood's already having a hard time competing with YouTube. Because you think about it, PewDiePie can just upload a video for really next to nothing. It costs him very little, and for Hollywood to make a movie, it still costs millions of dollars. So very much it does make a lot of sense that they would be moving in on his turf. And essentially that's what we've been witnessing happening across the board with a lot of these different deplatforming issues across the board with a lot of other Twitter, Facebook, YouTube. And essentially this is going to contribute to the decline of a lot of these different platforms, to say the least. I mean, on this channel, we talk about the issues that Facebook has been running into that involve its management of data, and you name it, all these different platforms really just don't function the way that they used to in their golden age of like 2009, 2007, when things were really up and running at full steam. Now, as we move forward, this does represent a huge opening for the sort of content creator side of the internet that we know and love. And essentially, I would say that this is something that's really big that I'll probably be pointing out in a lot of future videos regarding various different cryptocurrencies that essentially are positioning themselves to move in on YouTube's turf and essentially take some of that watch time away from various different users who've been, you know, sitting at their computers, and content creators who've been alienated by the various different differences that have happened. And I'd say that PewDiePie is among them. I mean, this video is hopefully going to get posted before PewDiePie makes his video, you know, regarding his recent dethroning, because he's no longer going to be the king of YouTube. So this is a very relevant topic to the cryptocurrency genre of the internet as well, because it does represent a shift altogether in essentially content that's created by people who are just sitting on their computer, essentially, like, for example, PewDiePie and so forth. So essentially, this is something that should interest, I'd say, PewDiePie. And PewDiePie, if you're listening to this video, if somehow we can get this video to reach PewDiePie, that'd be really great, because I'd say that he should join in with us and be listening and tuning into a lot of the different things that are happening involving cryptocurrencies. To shout out a few, like Tron, Cardano, you know, Steam, DTube, all these different platforms that involve cryptocurrencies that are essentially going to rise up, you know, through blockchain technology, through leveraging a lot of these similar things that we're seeing as the root cause of what's causing a lot of these different changes to the face of these various different platforms. It's not all bad, but essentially I just wanted to make this video because, you know, PewDiePie's been at the top of YouTube for so long. And, you know, since half of what this content is about on this YouTube channel, if you haven't noticed, the name of this channel is, of course, Cryptocurrency YouTuber. So, you know, I am a YouTuber at heart. I always like to give my 2 cents about the various things that are happening in this community and on YouTube's platform, because I really do want to see YouTube function appropriately and value the 2005 YouTube that people grew and loved. And essentially moving forward, essentially we have to see that sort of ideal represented in the various different rising up alternative platforms, represented in part by cryptocurrency and in part by a lot of these new revolutionary websites. So that's definitely something to keep an eye out during this paradigm shift that we're witnessing. Now, obviously, this video is not advice by any means. This video is basically just me talking about my opinion on this whole matter. I'm not trying to encourage you to create a YouTube channel or anything like that. I'm not your dad. I'm not going to tell you how to use the internet yourself. But, honestly, this is a really interesting time for interconnectedness across the world, and people all across the world in all countries essentially stand to benefit from this really great economy of attention. We're seeing people paying attention all across the board to all these different information platforms. So definitely a lot of interesting things to be paying attention to in the next couple of days or months, years, and so forth. But yeah, shout out to PewDiePie for being the king of YouTube for so long. All that being said, hopefully you guys subscribe to my channel. If you found this video interesting, if you watched all the way to the end, I'd recommend you guys subscribe, follow me on Twitter or whatever. If you're interested, Snapchat, whatever, your poison. But all that being said, I hope you guys have enjoyed this content, and yeah, make sure that you subscribe to the channel if you watched this video this long. And yeah, all that being said, I'll see you guys in the next video. Have a good one.